All right. Welcome back to another episode of Acquisitions Anonymous, the number one podcast on the internet for small business acquisitions. I'm hosting this week. My name is Bill D'Alessandro. I'm here with my co-hosts, Michael Girdley and Mills Snell. We will be covering two deals today. Today, we are calling it the Vice episode. So we've got two Vice businesses that are for sale that we're going to break down and analyze. We have a wine tasting business and a casino in Costa Rica. So this should be a fun one. No guests this week. You just got the three of our beautiful voices. So to kick this off, let me throw it over to Michael for our first sponsor read of the week.
Yeah, we have two sponsors this week. So the first one is another podcast. So it's the David C. Barnett Small Business Podcast. You can find it on podcasts, the podcast app, all that kind of stuff. I've listened to some of them. They're really pretty cool in terms of how deep David goes of the nuts and bolts for executing on, small business operations and deal making. So he's also our first Canadian sponsor, which is quite an honor that a country so nice would have sponsorship for us. So we're thankful to David C. Barnett, his podcast, and he does have a special offer for our listeners. He has a book called 21 Stupid Things People Do When Trying to Buy a Business. And if you go to David C. Barnett's YouTube channel, in our show notes, you can find a link to that and download it for free.
He has 421 episodes. That is impressive.
Yeah, considering I'm not sure I'll be alive by the time we get to 100. I'm pretty impressed.
That is strong.
All right, so I have the first deal, and please tell me it's the casino. Yes, okay, let's do it. All right, so our first deal is on Buy Biz Sell, and it is titled "Fantastic Business Opportunity in Costa Rica." The asking price is $2.4 million. It has non-applicable in terms of cash flow. Gross revenue is not applicable. Inventory is not applicable, and profits is not applicable. And $0 of furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And basically, for those of you just listening and not watching on YouTube, you can see that there is this kind of giant tiki hut looking thing with some, there's a picture of it. So I think this is actually the real place. There's tables and some TVs and some lights and stuff like that. And in the background, it looks like it's in the jungle. So that's what we know. So the business description is it's a hotel and casino in Costa Rica named Rancho Mirador. It's 5 acres, 12 miles from the San Juan Santa Maria Airport in San Jose, Costa Rica. And the property has a large casino that has the possibility of expansion, ballroom, restaurant, and terrace with wonderful views and fully equipped for daily operation. In addition to a valid license for the sale and consumption of liquor to operate 24/7, it is an eco-friendly casino with an architectural design of 376 square feet with high ceilings and freshness throughout the year. Okay. The hotel is made up of 1 master suite, 2 junior suites, and 17 standard rooms, always with the possibility of new construction for the expansion of the hotel. The large parking lot allows for parking of more than 120 cars simultaneously. In addition, it has an independent managerial house. The real estate is owned, and the property has a large casino, expansion, and all that kind of stuff. And the owner is willing to finance up to half of the asking price. So what do we think about this casino in the jungle near the airport in Costa Rica?
Well, let's just be clear about one thing up front. Casinos are licenses to print money. But also, if you buy this, you will probably end up dead in a Costa Rican ditch within a year.
Tell us more about this. Explain, how do I end up in a ditch?
Well, so obviously, if you are at all a student of the history of casinos, even in America, a country with a pretty solid rule of law, you know that it kind of is overrun with organized crime and kind of built by organized crime, even in America.
Yeah.
Because, as I mentioned, casinos not only are licenses to print money, they're also licenses to launder money. So if you have a bunch of illicit cash or whatever, if you own a casino, it's really easy to go into your casino and just lose a bunch of money. And all of a sudden that is gambling revenue for the casino and it is clean. So there's, with so much cash moving around through a casino, it's an awesome opportunity if you're an organized crime to, pay people off by letting them win and making it look legit, washing your money, through the casino and making it look legit. So that's in America. This is in Costa Rica. And it kind of seems like it's off the side of a highway. It's 5 acres of land, like 300 or 400 square feet. It just feels to me like, maybe it's printing a ton of money. It must be at $2.4 million in Costa Rica. So I would think that's probably a fair bit of money. But also, you're going to own this thing. Mr. Gringo from America is going to go down there, buy this thing, and you're going to get shaken down within a week after showing up in Costa Rica. And also, good luck if you think you can own this absentee. You're going to find all your cash just walking out the door every single night.
So I have looked it up on Google Maps here. Oh, I'm sorry to talk over Mills, but I thought this was important. Here's some photos of the place. It has 137 reviews in Costa Rica here on Google Maps. And yes, it looks like it's right in the middle of the jungle. Here are some photos of the interior of this. By the way, for those of you that have been working on your own Google reviews for your business, this has 4.6 stars and 137 reviews. It looks like this was their Halloween party. Here is, that is some fried food, a picture of that. A cool view of Costa Rica, a picture of a guy doing shots right here in 2019. And they have a pool, a parking garage, and some shacks, and more food, and like a weird green drink. Okay, so that's what we know about this place. At least you're buying some good Google reviews. Mills, you like that or no?
I don't know. I mean, to me, obviously, we don't know anything about their revenue and we don't know anything about their cash flow, but it's 5 acres in Costa Rica. And I think the building, just based on the dimensions that he said, if it's 362 feet squared, that's like 130,000 square foot building. This is like, from the picture that's on Biz Buy Sell, it looks like it's like a restaurant / casino in one like tiki hut. So I mean, if it's 130,000 square foot casino, $2.4 million is not enough. It's way underpriced. I agree with Bill in the sense that, you're going to die if you buy this thing kind of sentiment, but it's also, I mean, regulated businesses like this are just, I mean, the regulatory hurdles to go through. You could go down there, hit it off with the guy, find out it's 100% legit, it's at a decent price, all those things, and then you could be in limbo for like a year to 2 years with the Costa Rican government just trying to get approved to buy this thing. So I don't know. This, to me, honestly, this would be a great business to be able to talk about having owned and how poorly it went, like when you're in your 70s. But like, you definitely don't want to try and do this in your 30s or 40s. It would just make for a great story and a great way to lose a bunch of money.
It does look like, looking from the photos of this business, like this mainly caters to locals. Like, I don't see, everything's in Spanish. I don't see, a bunch of foreigners looking folks. They all look like native Costa Ricans from the big city. So which makes it doubly interesting that they're marketing it to Americans through Buy Biz Sell, right? Which is primarily an American focused, listing platform. The other thing that's really apparent with this, the food looks really good. Like, if this was a standalone restaurant, this is like, for being some of the stuff, I'm pretty impressed.
So, Michael, do you think that we should put onto Twitter that we're going to crowdfund a trip for you to go down there and just do site visit?
I don't think that's thinking big enough. I think we need to put together a DAO to take all these crypto bucks that people have, put together 2.4 million, and we will be the first podcast generated, internet owned, fully distributed Costa Rican casino that actually everybody owns. But
down by the Costa Rican mob.
Well, think about it. If we buy this with a DAO, how's who's going to end up in the ditch? They can't put everybody in the ditch, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? It solves our ditch problem.
It does. It also solves all of your regulatory problems, which I'm pretty sure is the point of DAOs in the first place.
Pretty much, yeah.
And make regulatory problems go away. So this is perfect.
In all seriousness, I mean, I think I've seen, this is the type of business that I've seen often people buy like at the end of their marriage, like when they're married to try to save their marriage. This is the type of business people buy for that. So like I've gone time and time again.
Marriage, Michael.
What's that?
How does a business like this save your marriage?
Oh no, they just make it worse. They just make it worse. It never helps. But so many times I've been to like the Bahamas, and you go to like the Bahamas is a ton of islands, and you go to like you go to like one of the islands, and they'll be just like out in the middle of nowhere, like a little resort like this, right, with a casino and a bar, and you realize that it's owned by a husband and wife team, and they hate each other. Like the husband has a drinking problem, the wife developed a drinking problem because the husband has a drinking problem, and like the whole business is going to go under when that marriage finally ends, and they just realize, oh, this getting away from Philadelphia where we lived and hated each other isn't going to make us hate each other any less living in the Bahamas. So I can't really blame the broker for promoting this, because there's a segment of the market that is, so trying to run away from bad marriages that will buy this thing. So anyway, that's the pattern I've seen with this stuff.
That was an amazing motif that you just kind of wove through that. I really like it, Michael.
I aim to serve. I mean, you got to ask yourself why a business like this that clearly caters to locals, that has kind of very Costa Rican style motel rooms. The clientele appears to be all Costa Rican. Like, what are they doing here with this listing, right? Like, are they trying to find a sucker American to buy something like this and cash out?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the game that's going on here?
Unequivocally, yes.
So this kind of raises an interesting question for me, and I'll be interesting to hear y'all's takes on. Would you ever consider buying or investing in a business that was not domiciled in the United States? A small business, I should say.
Yes.
Yes. No worries about kind of rule of law, not understanding their local laws, not being able to enforce your agreements, because their laws are different, anything like that?
No, I think that's entirely how like the deals get priced differently, right? I think you get penalized the lower the jurisdiction's rule of law is, the further the culture is away from yours. Like all of those things mean you need to price in more risk, or just because it's more difficult, right? So, like at the high end of the spectrum, you have like the Italy way of doing business where they like nobody tells you the truth. You have the Brazilian French thing where like the whole world is angled against you as a buyer, investor of stuff, especially being a foreigner. Or you have places like Northern Mexico where they see guys that look like us show up, and it's like, okay, like let's let them have it. So all that really depends. But if you're like, hey, like, let's look at Canada, like, okay, like Canada's like more, Canada is in some ways the America I want us to have. So like, I'll put some money in Canada.
Yeah, I should probably make an exception for, Canada or even the UK. Although still there's, if you're writing a debt like you can't just take your debt document or your operating agreement like off the shelf for an American company. You're going to have a lot more legal work. You're going to have to really hire a lawyer from the jurisdiction that understands what the hell is going on. Or I feel like you're going to get taken advantage of by the locals.
Well, we just did, a private equity deal, right? And it's taken us 6 weeks to get some cash out of a Chase bank account that's in like Finland. Like a lot of times these companies don't let you have your money, so you got to worry about that. Like, there's besides just getting ripped off, there's just a lot of times these countries make it really unfortunate to do different stuff. That's for us, it's pretty easy. Like you can send money from Mississippi to Texas all you want. That is what it is. But a lot of these other jurisdictions make it really hard. But you're exactly right. Like in a place like this, like if I was going to go pursue a Costa Rican whatever, probably not this particular path to sleeping in a ditch, but like if I was to pursue something else there, the first thing you want to do is go find those lawyers who and accountants who are accustomed to helping foreigners acquire assets in the country. Ideally, who are part of a firm that also has representation in the U.S. So like the times we've done stuff like in Denmark or Spain, like we'll hire local attorneys and accountants, but they also have partners that are in New York, San Francisco, Texas, whatever. And those advisors can help you fix some stuff and make sure you don't get yourself into trouble. And it is interesting, like in countries like Costa Rica or, Nicaragua or Colombia, like there's entire industries set up to help foreigners do business there, and it comes from the government. And then there's like all kinds of networks of folks who are just like lawyers, abogados, who just help you like open up there. So, getting the right help, I think, is the way to make it work. But it's going to cost you, and it increases the risk. I think you're exactly right.
Yep.
So we lost Mills, but man, I think let's do the Dow. Let's get it out tomorrow. You guys, how many ETH are you guys in for?
A couple. It's all fake money anyway, right?
It's all fake money anyway. Yeah, you're not really living in reality when you start talking about money in denominations of ETH or Bitcoin. That's what I know my friends have.
Careful, Girdley. The crypto bros are going to come get us if we go much further.
So this is far out, and I think the takeaways here are: if you're going to use a casino to save your marriage, never works. A resort in the Bahamas never works. And if you're going to go do business in another country, definitely find the right people to help you, and hope that they're not the ones that are going to put you in the ditch. That would also be the thing you cross your finger on.
Yep. All right. That's vice business number one. I will say I would love at some point to own like a minority share in a casino. I bet they're extremely lucrative, but probably not this one in outside of wherever it is in Costa Rica.
Nah, not this one. This should sell to a Costa Rican.
Yes.
That's exactly who should buy this. But I mean, look, I think if you're somebody that's like from Costa Rica and living in America and has a bunch of cousins there and understands this business, maybe that's not such a big stretch for a bunch of gringos like us to go down there and do this.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, there's also, it's not just owning the business, it's owning real estate because the business owns the real estate, which sometimes internationally also can come with a whole set of challenges, that are separate from your business. So I think there's a fair bit of complexity here.
Well, you have, besides just the ditch risk, right? On something like this, you have the risk that comes with another small country that isn't a sovereign currency, right? So Costa Rica, I last time I was there was pegged to the dollar. That still may be the case or not. So they don't control their currency. Costa Rica actually doesn't have an army. I don't know if you knew that or not. They are one of the few democracies in the world without an army. Though it's kind of messed up because if you go around Costa Rica, all the police look like army people. Like they're all carrying M16s and they're dressed up like that way. And then the other thing that's crazy about Costa Rica is when you drive around San Jose, there's no street signs. That's their capital. And I asked why, because you take a taxi and they're like, they stop every corner and they're like, hey, tell me how to get to wherever. And like, that's basically how the Google Maps works. You stop at the corner and like yell at people and they're like, go this way. And the reason is because back when Costa Rica 30 years ago or whatever was controlled by, horrible dictators, the people went and took down all the street signs to make it harder for the secret police to find you.
And they just never put them back up?
And they've never gone back up. That was what they told me. That was like, that's the kind of stuff that, why I am really pro people traveling around the world and seeing how the other 90% lives, not like we do in our beautiful manicured suburbs with, at least reasonable police protection and safety nets and all that stuff. Like there's some bad stuff out there and it still echoes in the way some of these countries live.
Yep. All right. Well, you want to move on to our second vice-based business of the day?
Let's do it.
All right. So you want me to read this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. All right. We got to do a sponsor. We're going to do our second sponsor.
Yay,
second sponsor. Go.
So today is a first-time sponsor. And this is Trout CPA. And so they are a CPA firm. And one of the things we wanted to talk about with what they do, and let me pull up my notes here because I don't want to miss anything. They are a really good firm to help with ERC, which is the employee retention credits, that have been a big deal for all of us business owners and prospective business owners to have the government underwrite a lot of what we've done to help people keep their jobs. So it's called employee retention credits. So they have that as part of their practice. And Mills, I believe you use them, right, in terms of helping with your business?
Yeah. So Mitchell Baldridge CPA, I don't know what his handle is, but most of our listeners will probably know who I'm talking about, referred me to Daniel Choden from Trout, and he helped AquaSeal with the ERTC, and incredibly knowledgeable. But it's interesting. There's this thing going around with the employee retention credit where there's some like snake oil salesmen who are like, oh yeah, you'll get it, like you qualify, and just like kind of play in the gray, and they're charging like crazy high fees, like a percentage of the credits you receive, like 20-30%. It's just kind of crazy stuff going on. So I asked Mitchell, and Mitchell said, here's the guy. He's like the foremost expert on ERTC. And Dan was just like encyclopedic about it. And it's a very, very significant tax credit, a few different ways. But reach out to me if I can help connect you to Dan, or reach out to Dan or Trout, because there's the way he talks about it. We'll have to, I think maybe next go round, we'll read his blurb about it. But there's a few different components, and it's almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, I think the takeaway for business owners for sure, and every company I'm in that qualified did it, is it's to some extent the government giving you a rebate, so free money given to business owners. And if you're not claiming it, it's one of those things that you're just missing the opportunity. And if you go to somebody like Trout, they're going to charge you typically a percentage of what they collect for you from the government in terms of retention, or in terms of those rewards. So I hate to use the word free money, but like if you're not doing it, you're losing opportunity if you're a US based small business in 2022. So cool. All right. Over to you, Bill.
All right. Let's read our second deal of the day, which is an 11-year-old wine and spirits tasting competitions portfolio. It is 80% recurring revenue, and the owner only works 5 hours a week, probably tasting wine. Sounds pretty good so far. So recognize the owner creator of one of the most impressive portfolios of alcohol tasting competitions in the world. This 11-year-old digital service provider has created multiple platforms for the world's leading wine, spirits, and beer producers. Suppliers pay to enter and participate in multiple competitions annually, while judges sign up for free to judge. I assume that means you get free booze, so people sign up for free. Clients are based on all corners of the world: Europe, Asia, United States, and United Kingdom. Winners then pay to receive digital and print medals. This already sounds like a great racket. A mainly passive endeavor, the seller has put processes, procedures, and staff in place and only works about 5 hours a week. The company has spent their first several years curating a proprietary database of both judges who, remember, volunteer for free in exchange for free booze, and suppliers from years of boots on the ground work and research, and can now tap into that resource at will. With that, growth opportunities are massive and readily executable, such as expanding for new niches like craft spirits or sparkling wine, and new key geographic areas. And then it says, i.e. USA, but it already mentioned USA as a place they already were earlier. So now I'm a little confused. It says the owner's got a great playbook. The seller has poured 11 years of her life into building this business from thin air, and has also just released her first novel. Okay, she is ready to take for a new owner to take his business to the next level. It says very, very scalable. I'll skip over some of this because it's basically kind of broker gobbledygook. Revenue comes from a cross section of over 10 competitions with close to 1,000 regular suppliers / contestants. So I think those would be 1,000 kind of alcohol and wine brands that are competing. 80% of revenue is from repeat customers. Again, in this case, customers are the alcohol brands. It says it's a lean business model with high margins, which is true because they have $940,000 of revenue and $725,000 of earnings, which is pretty nice. They've been around for 11 years. They've got a solid team of 6 individuals working virtually, consisting of 1 manager and 5 contractors doing accounting, customer service, IT, etc. And they remind you again, the owner works 5 hours a week. So they do $940,000 of revenue, $726,000 of earnings, and they're asking $3.27 million, which is a 4.5 times multiple exactly of their profits. So what do you guys think about this one? Interesting business model.
Man, I mean, it's super cool. It's also like just totally stunning, right? Because we all get hit up for these, like every small business gets hit up, from the Small Business Journal to like all the way up to the big businesses, right? JD Power. This is the JD Power business model, right? Like pay us to give you an award. And And I don't know if you guys have ever bought like a website, and you ever notice like your web designer builds you a website, and then every time you win the award for the website of the year. Like every new website I've ever bought is one website of the year for one of these things because it's just a racket. But it's so cool, right? It is also fascinating that the business has gone this far with an owner who apparently is just totally interested in working on her novel and not really growing the business beyond like what is just like the best lifestyle business I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah, I mean they're making $726,000 a year and working 5 hours a week. If that's really true, I'm a little skeptical. But I think the business model is basically this: you approach, and I think the reason they focus on wine is because wine is really fragmented. There's all these kind of family wineries. So I think they probably approach all these small wineries and go, hey, we're this big time competition. If you would like to enter, here's the entry fee, you'll be judged and, blah, blah, blah. If you win, then we'll try to sell you your awards. Yeah. So I think there's sort of an infinite market of these little small time wineries, which I would have been skeptical about. But this business kind of seems to have proved out that they can get these people to pony up to participate in the competitions. I assume this is probably also easy to do virtually because you just mail the wine around to your testers' houses. They drink it for free and are probably really psyched because they got free wine in the mail, and then just judge it. So I'm fascinated by this, and I'm sure you could expand it to, maybe local breweries, which also there are a ton of. I think liquor would be a little bit harder because it's much more concentrated, although there are some craft spirits. There's a smaller craft spirits industry in the United States, but I don't know. I mean, like this model, as you said, Michael, like you see it in like best places to work. Like all the time we get these emails. It's like, you've been selected to the, Joe Blow XYZ best places to work in, Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm like, okay, we're in Charlotte. So, great job.
Do your research.
Like, congratulations. Like here, for your prize pack, like we will, for only $199, we will mail you this trophy, etc. So this business model is pretty rampant, but I've not seen it applied to alcohol producers.
What are we actually buying when we buy this business? What are the assets here? So you're getting obviously a customer list, and some people that have engaged and bought your stuff in the past. What else are we getting here? Are we getting a brand that customers actually trust? Do we know if anybody cares about this thing?
I don't know.
I think that's the hard part. I mean, you imagine though, like if you were going to try and start this, it would be a really uphill battle because people would be like, wait, another one, or like, I've never heard of you. If they had some name recognition, obviously like JD Power, right? People would know that. Mm-hmm. But if you called around to a couple wineries and they were like, what award, what competition? I've never heard of that. Then the brand probably, but you're right. That's the only place that the brand matters. It's not like wine consumers, right? Go in and they're like, give me the top pick from, so-and-so awards. No, they're just like, which label looks cool?
So does this only work for wine? So wine has a very fascinating dynamic, right? Like unlike beer, you typically go into a place and there's a bazillion wines and you have no idea how to compare them. So maybe the wineries are like, okay, like we're going to try to differentiate by winning this phony award. Does that happen in beer or other stuff? Because they're telling you, hey, you could maybe expand beyond this to spirits and that sort of thing. But it feels like at least in spirits and beer, there's much stronger brand recognition and loyalty than in wine, right? People are Bud Light people or whatever, Sam Adams IPA people or Tito's vodka people. Are they right here? Does that really work outside of wine?
I don't know. I think it would. I mean, some people are, the thing too is we got to remember wine. A lot of people walk into the grocery store and buy the cheapest bottle people as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got to imagine the audience here is people who are actually interested in wine, might understand this award, or what it is the wineries are using this award to market their wine to people who buy wine from boutique wineries, right? So you're really providing a marketing tool to the winery. And so similarly, I think there's probably a lot of, upstart craft beer, brands or upstart craft liquor brands that say, hey, we need a marketing tool to somehow stand out from all of the other craft beer and craft spirits brands, maybe I'll pay $1,000 or whatever to try to win this competition.
I think though in beer, it's a little bit more crowdsourced. Like I think there's a few different ones, but I'm thinking about an app like Untapped. Like if I go into the grocery store or the liquor store and I see a beer I haven't tried, I'll like look it up, right? I just Google it. And usually the first listing ahead of the manufacturer's website or the brewer's website is Untapped. And it's going to tell you from a crowdsourced thing. It's like Yelp, right? Or Rotten Tomatoes. It's going to say, hey, look, 1,000 reviews and these people say it's garbage. Then I don't really care what, the authority, so to speak, says. I'm just crowdsourcing it and trying it or not. To me, wine is a little bit, I don't know, it's like a little bit more highbrow, and maybe there is some of that, but it seems like independent verification is more important to the wine community, or even perceived independent verification is more important.
Yeah. We looked at Untapped, or maybe a copy of Untapped. We looked at that for sale. Shockingly bad business. Like we looked at it, we're like, wait, beer is this big of a business? You guys are only doing $2 million a year? Like it was just one of those things where it was like fascinating to me how little they had managed to monetize both the data they had and then what benefit the suppliers were seeing from having good reviews. It was amazing. So do we do a DAO for this one? Like, because this seems like this is much more DAO than the casino in the gutter thing, right? Like 5 hours, a sponsor could put together a DAO. Like it seems to be somewhat, straightforward. Like, is this a DAO candidate for us? Because there's totally stuff.
Why would you want to share it? Why would you want to share it? I think we should just buy it. I think it seems like a good business.
My big question is the competition like on the spectrum from a total, legit, like third party verified, like very prestigious, all the way down to it's a total hoax, right? The fact that they have volunteer judges makes me think it's more on the hoaxy kind of end of the spectrum, because it's like, hey, who wants free wine? Like the people who raise their hand for that, right, are not necessarily the most astute wine tasters, right? They're just the people who are like, send it to me, I'll drink it,
Right. I would volunteer for that. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if the DAO is not the idea, is this the first deal for the Acquisitions Anonymous rolling fund that buys the coolest businesses we see and then hopes for the best fund? Maybe we could use some better help on the marketing.
All joking aside here, right? Like this business has 80% margins, net margins, right? There's no COGS. There's one employee and a couple VAs. And it's for sale for 4.5 times, which is not that crazy. If this were a software business, it would have sold in 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So, and there might be some recurring-ish aspect to it if some of the same brands are entering over and over again. If there is like a real system here, and this woman who owns it actually works 5 hours a week, and we don't have historical financials here, but like if it's doing well, and maybe this had a COVID bump, maybe it didn't, but assuming that kind of the historical trend looks flat to up, and this woman's working 5 hours a week, I think this is a very interesting business, or could be.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing they haven't really the one thing they haven't talked about to grow this is just launch like another brand that does the exact same thing. Because these wineries, they don't just want to win one award; they'll win all your awards. So you might as well just have the same group, but be like, oh, that was Jim's wine award. Okay, this year we're gonna have Joe's wine award, right? And I love it. I love it. I love it.
And I will say this also about these kind of classic, I'll call it 4 hours, 5 hour work week, but 4 hour work week businesses, right? Where I see these occasionally where the owner's done an awesome job of creating a almost totally self-sustaining internet money machine with a combination of no-code tools and virtual assistants, overseas. And they can be great businesses, but the commonality in all of them is that the owner is trying to work as little as possible, which also almost always guarantees there's a ton of growth left on the table.
Yeah.
So you can buy these things and lean in, and I think do quite well.
The thing that blows my mind about that 5 hour situation is I look at it and I'm like, well, like, if this thing works this well with me just working 5 hours, like how great would it work if I hired somebody who's incentivized to work 40 hours a week? Like, and maybe that's impossible, but it's also like, Like, I don't understand also, like, well, if you're going to work 5 hours a week, why don't you hire somebody and only work 1 hour a week? Like, that sounds much better.
Like, I mean, the thing that I know to be true about my business is I can always spend more time in it, right? Like, I could always find more to do. And Bill, I think you're right. And Michael, you too. Like, these folks are doing the opposite, right? They're like, all right, as little as possible. But if you put somebody in there with the opposite mentality of like, how could we grow? The current owner is probably like, yeah, we could do a second award, but like, nah, it's too hard. I'm already making $700,000 a year.
Right. Why would I want to work 6 hours? That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I got a novel to write. Consider how much opportunity cost this person has paid to write their novel.
Yeah.
A huge amount of money.
At some point, we should do an episode.
That by 4.5.
At some point, we should do an episode on how horrible the economics of book publishing are for authors. Like, unless you're Danielle Steele, like, it is the worst. And that's why people on Twitter are like, you should write a book. I'm like, have you looked at the economics of book writing? Like, you're lucky to work a whole year and make 25 grand. Like, it is not pretty. It is not pretty at all.
I would love to do an Acquisitions Anonymous episode on this because I have seen a couple times these portfolios of Kindle digital books for sale. And they kind of throw off royalties every month because they're sold on Amazon or whatever. And they're priced like SaaS because they're just recurring. Yeah, they're not. I mean, book is almost a little generous for these things, right? Because they've never been printed or bound. They're just Kindle. They're KDP files, Kindle digital publishing. But I've started to learn about this industry, and I'm interested by it. Is it a terrible industry, Michael?
I just know the way it's set up for independent authors is a terrible job. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why like everybody I know, like, who does that, like they only publish a book to make money someplace else. As itself is pretty tough unless you're part of the power law that does really well. Now the Kindle digital publishing and stuff like that, or, a business where you're paying other people to write them, like, that sounds like a publishing is a good business. Like, let's definitely look into that. So if anybody in listener land for us knows anything about the Kindle digital publishing or being on the publisher side, or wants to come in and argue with me that being an author is a good business, let's talk. DM us, and we'd love to have you.
I can't really talk about it in a ton of detail, but in the past, I looked at a really interesting business that was basically like the democratization of publishing, of like everybody wants to have said they wrote a book. And so this company would take more of like a flat fee approach, no royalty, right? No like advance. It was just like, hey, look, you pay $3,000 or $4,000, you get published, we print your book, we help you pick out cover art. We do like some, probably algorithmic editing, and you get an ISBN, and it's on Amazon and barnesandnoble.com. And, just tell us how many copies you want to order. And, most of them sell like an average of 50 copies. But those businesses are really interesting and really, really lucrative because, every financial planner, every like lawyer, like every like moderately successful person is like, I think I should write a book about, my whatever thing that's not that unique.
It definitely, like, the ROI is not direct, but like I've written 4 books. Like, I don't talk about it much, but like when people are like, I'm trying to impress people, which happens sometimes, like that's one of the highlights I bring up. Like, oh, I wrote 4 books, mediocre books on computer programming, and like it comes up, and you can go to Amazon and you can see I wrote most of the reviews for my own book. So yeah, that's how that
works. That's like you liking your own tweets, Michael.
Look, if you're on Twitter and you don't like what you wrote enough to like it, why did you write it? That is my logic. That is my logic to it. So I don't understand why you guys are writing stuff that you don't like enough to like. That's the way it should be.
You also have like 100 times more followers than I do, so clearly you're doing something better than me.
Apparently it's just dad jokes and Chili's memes. That's the way it all goes. The number of Chili's references I get tagged in every day is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Has anyone from Chili's reached out? We'll do like a bi-weekly poll to you. Have you heard from Chili's yet?
Oh yeah, Chili's and me are BFFs now. They follow me and they respond to my posts. Yeah, like there's Chili. Seriously, yeah. Like the Chili's social media team knows me. Yeah, like we have connects. So
I want to know when you hear from somebody on the C-suite, because that day is coming, I think.
If I get to fly on the Chili's private jet, I think that'll be the moment. I would just be curious to understand though, what kind of food do they serve on the Chili's private jet? Like, do they have Chili's food there? If so,
For sure.
that sounds pretty darn good.
It's probably Buffalo Wild Wings, to be honest.
Like, here's your Subway. Here's your sub. Anyway. All right. Well, hey, we love this business, I guess, right? Coming back to the original point of this podcast.
Yeah, I do.
Have one of y'all signed an NDA on this yet? I think we should.
No, I think I'm gonna put this in my newsletter tomorrow. I need a deal. So,
yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
And very cool. Yeah, right. Yeah. I saw this come through my inbox, and I was like, "This is a crazy business. We got to talk about this." And this is one that won't get you in a ditch in Costa Rica.
Yes, considerably safer.
Considerably safer,
and probably makes more money too. That's $750,000.
For sure. Yeah, and less alcohol and marriage problems.
Well,
cool.
Less marriage problems.
Should we
amount of alcohol probably?
Should we thank our sponsors and call it a day? And Merry Christmas to both of you guys. By the way, this is the last episode we record before Christmas. And Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas, or whatever you celebrate, to all of our listeners. It's been a great year for the podcast, and we're just so grateful for everybody that's been involved in it. Everybody from the advertisers to the listeners, to those of you that tell your friends about it, to the patrons that give us money to hopefully get to our never-ending quest to break even. We're getting there, so been a great year. But yeah, so anyway, that was Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate.
Yep, you too, Michael, Mills, and everyone out there in internet land. We will see you guys in 2022 in the next episode.
Yeah, let me thank our sponsors one more time, and we'll wish them a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays too. So David C. Barnett, Small Business and Deal Making Podcast, thanks again for sponsoring today. Definitely give that a listen. David's got some good stuff in there, and he's our number 1 Canadian sponsor, which we're so thankful for. And then Trout CPA, based out of Lancaster in PA. So they work hard. Your path to get your ERC credits. And also a full service CPA firm that Mills has used and it looks like, at least look at their website and hearing Mills talk about it, sounds like they really have their act together. So really very cool. So that's it. Thanks to our sponsors.